My first video for Po Man's Dreams was muted, so here we are again. Starting to get kind of nice out, and when it gets nice out, I like to go to the park, and so I was gonna give y'all some park views for these breakdowns, but of course today it's a little too hot for the park. So hopefully soon we'll get some new views, cause I know that Mr. Backpack here has been staring at you. Shout out to my sister for making him. She made him for like 2 Halloweens ago, I think, or maybe three. And I used it last year to be Dora for our Baba Maze. This next song is Po Man's Dream, aka His Vice, another one of my favorites on this album. Kendrick is kind of talking about how, in America, we're sold this American dream, and kind of like around the world, people come here to pursue this American dream. So there's stipulations that they don't talk about when it comes to that. You have certain people who are like the poster children for achieving this, but you don't know the behind the scenes. And we are seeing that as these cases unfold, these celebrities are, exposed. Like, there's a lot that goes to it, a lot of politics involved. And as much as you don't want to think that, politics matter or you don't want to be involved in it, it's literally involved in every aspect of our lives. We know that, like, during the Reagan era is when there was an increase in drug usage in Black communities, in poor communities. Um, Again, this cycle that leads to more violence, that leads to more incarceration, that leads to, well, starts with a militarized, police force, in which people have to figure out ways to combat that. But that dream is different. It looks different for those communities. Instead of pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, like, they're already put in a lower position with no help, and then they're fed these easy way outs or what looks like hope and a way to survive or kind of gain some sort of wealth. It's either through rapping, and then if you do pursue that, they want you to push a certain lifestyle of engaging in substances, of, committing violent things, of gang culture or even prison culture. And I like how Deontay pointed out on one of his episodes, he was saying that Future must be like sponsored by pharmaceutical companies because he's always talking about like different drugs, new drugs, and but he'll talk about how like he doesn't take them or like he hasn't done drugs like that. So, like, I don't know, I just thought that was funny because it does make sense. The math is mathing. Glamorize this lifestyle, or through like scamming, or, kind of selling your body for entertainment to go into sports, things like that, that like, although 9 times out of 10, like, you might actually have a dream of doing that, and it's obviously fun, but there's also dangers to it, and at the end of the day, it's a business, and it sucks when it comes to the realization. All those tangents lead to the main point of the American dream is different. It looks different in the Black communities, and oftentimes we are victim to our circumstances. It can be hard to get out of that, and that's what he talks about in this song. So let's get into it. Chorus says, smoke good, eat good, live good, smoke good, eat good, live good, smoke good, eat good, live good, smoke good, eat good, live good. So Kendrick is just describing like this nice, easy lifestyle that, like, kind of what it sounds like. Everybody wants to just like be happy, live a good life, and eat some good food. And then we get into verse one. Kendrick Lamar says, I used to want to see the penitentiary way after elementary. Thought it was cool to look the judge in the face when he sentenced me. So this first line kind of resembles Tupac's Dear Mama when he says, and who to think in elementary, I would see the penitentiary. Um, and so he's just saying that, like, he grew up around family members being in the incarceration system, in like gang culture and gang life, and engaging in criminal activities. And so he kind of, I feel like when you're in those younger years and you're looking up to people in your life who are considered quote unquote like manly, there's all this pressure on boys to grow into men and be like this certain type of masculine and or masculine when, and in black communities specifically, it's kind of glorified through the music that you kind of become a man if you go to jail, or you have this sort of like badge of honor in a way if you have gone to jail because it makes you strong, or like, it shows you're tough. And so as a young person looking up to that, you kind of like idolize that. You think it's cool to be able to do that. My uncle's was institutionalized. My intuition had said I was suited for family ties. So the uncles that he's speaking of here are Tony and Bobby, which were Kendrick's uncles that, were institutionalized. And he notices that, like, he kind of feels that pressure, his intuition kind of saying like this could be your life, your future, unless you find a way out of that, and to be institutionalized, like, it just means that, once you go to jail or prison, you are used to a certain like routine. You get used to that, and you have someone always telling you what to do, watching you, things like kind of like lined up for you. And oftentimes when people get out, they don't really have a lot to go back to. They don't have the money, they don't have certain things. So it can be hard to adjust to, regular life if you're so used to one thing. And oftentimes people just go back to what they know, which again, it starts this whole cycle of you going back in and then coming out. And you may like for a while be good, but like eventually, you get back into it. So following up on the idea that, he grew up watching the people around him be institutionalized, he says, my intuition had said I was suited for family ties. So just saying that, like, in his body, he felt that eventually he was going to follow what his family had done if he didn't figure out another way, to get out. My mama is stressing, my daddy tired. I need me a weapon, these ends ride. So Kendrick is learning that he has to protect himself in some way. Again, kind of showing how easy it is to get wrapped up in the life when you are surrounded by that. And, you see your parents stressed and just trying to do what they can to provide for you, but also realizing that, like, you now have to step up and kind of protect yourself and figure out a way to do that as well. Every minute, hour, and second, ministers tried to save me. How I'm going to listen when I don't hear God? Heaven or hell, base it all on my instincts. So he's kind of describing how he wasn't really like a believer of the faith back then. He was probably living more in survival, just trying to understand why these things were happening around him, what his position was in it, and what he was going to do. Is he gonna follow in the footsteps? Is he gonna engage in it as well? Or is he gonna figure out another way? Um, but you can tell that maybe like he was trying to seek that faith, or that faith was trying to seek him. My hands dirty, you worried about mud in your sink. You like to mistake a street end for real. Same end that kill with you'll glow with you. So for this first part, the hands dirty could be a reference towards, just committing crimes. And so he's saying you're worried about me washing my hands and getting, mud in the sink, but you don't know about where that mud came from and, what we were doing before. Um, and then this next line, he's saying that although a so-called street end is supposed to be loyal and real, 9 times out of 10, when it comes down to it, they're going to snitch if need be, or they're going to be fake, or they're going to turn on you at some point. I deal with you like my son, stare at the sun, and you'll be looking in my eyes, homie. So he's saying here that I shine so bright that when you look at the sun, it's me. Stand for something or fall for anything, and you working with two left feet at the skating rink. So he's saying, what will be your legacy? This also resembles how Dr. Dre used like this line at the end of March 1997's Been There, Done That. And it's just kind of this sentiment of like, you either stand for something or you're gonna fall for anything. And this is kind of like being shown right now with the whole James and Fuhad situation, which were two podcasters that I guess are from England or Europe, and they their main audience were black women, and they went on a podcast with Andrew Schultz, who's a white comedian, and made kind of like a joke about just like bashing black women. And so they didn't stand for something, they fell for, the first thing that came at them. And he kind of illustrates this by saying, you working with two left feet at the skating rink, meaning eventually you're going to fall. But anyway, this is for my ends. And I feel like this whole part of the verse is kind of shade towards Drake, or a subliminal towards Drake. And now that we're going back and looking into Kendrick's music, like a lot of it is or could be subliminals. But he says, Uncle's 23 hours sending me pictures. I want you to know that I'm so determined to blow. So this kind of reminded me of like, when someone is in jail or in prison, the way that they communicate with you and, sometimes are able to see you grow is through writing or pictures. And so that's the way that, Kendrick's uncle is able to see him grow. And he's just saying, like, I hope you know that I'm determined to make it out. And he says that you can hear the music I wrote, hope it get you off death row. So he wants his music to be accepted by those who may listen, in the penitentiary, but also outside of the penitentiary, just like those who can relate in all aspects. But also the work that he puts in and him making it to the top will give him enough money and access to help, cases like that. You came home to a pocket full of stones, a Metro PCS phone, then you went back in. So when I touch the pen is in my view. I'ma get it right, just so you. And so he's kind of talking about what, being institutionalized looks like. You come out of jail with no money, a pocket full of stones, and the phone that you went in with, a Metro PCS phone. um, and you have nothing else. It's so hard to get adjusted to real life when you come out of an institution where your every move is watched, where your every move is scheduled. It can definitely be hard to adjust to a life of freedom where you're not watched and you can do whatever, especially if you aren't given other options. You're going to go back to what you know. And, when I'm writing these rhymes, I understand that I could be where you are. I understand that the people that are there may be listening to my music. So I'm going to work hard to ensure that I'm representing them well and getting to a point where I can help again. And then, he goes into the chorus to smoke good, eat good, live good. So he's just saying he's going to work on his music so that these people can do all those things. Rain is by GLC, who is a Chicago rapper. He says, and I do this for the city, got some Hennessy and my real ends with me. F the police, they gon' have to come and get me. If it feel good to you, holler if you hear me. So again, these are all kind of like the vices of the poor men and what was kind of brought in by, failed Reaganomics, and they're kind of unable to see their dependency on that and what keeps them in this cycle and is constantly negatively affecting their life. The Hennessy, the alcohol, and like this mindset of like, oh, if I'm gonna do this crime, and if you catch me, then come catch me, type of thing. Like just kind of like playing with that and trying to act like a tough person or like be the tough guy. Verse 2, Kendrick says, you like to mistake a street end for a real end, the same end that kill with you'll squill with you. I like to start it out from the bottom and build with you, be on my last dollar and split the bill with you. So Kendrick is saying, he's a real one. He's gonna help his friends out along the way. When he makes it, he's going to bring people up with him and he's going to put them on as well. I'm 23 with morals and plans of living cordial. Not rich, but wealthy. There's nothing you can tell me. So he's wanting to live like a peaceful life. And when he says not rich, but wealthy, wealth, it doesn't mean just money. You can be wealthy in love, wealthy in morals, wealthy in knowledge, wealthy in community. That's true richness. That's true. This is also similar to a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson that says, "Without the rich heart, wealth is an ugly beggar." And so, again, if you're not rich in good morals or rich in community and knowledge, you're just going to be begging for actual money to kind of suffice and fill the void that you're longing for. Recording has not been going well for me today, but I don't have much more time before I have to get ready for yet another event. So hopefully we can finish this up. Continuing on, Kendrick says, "My killings are not remorseful. The city got my back, and for that I give them my torso." So, in regards to killings, I feel like he's talking more about like his music and taking people down through battle rap. And, he's tactical and strategic in the way that he does that. And he knows that his city is going to support him and have his back. And so in return, he gives them his torso, which in your torso, you have your heart and your lungs. And right, yeah, your torso is like here. Yeah, you have like your heart and your lungs. I don't know why I was okay. Anyways, so he's gonna give it his all basically. You think about it and don't call me lyrical because really I'm just an N that's evil. And this line kind of reminds me of Spirit Medium, I don't rap, brother, from his new album. And it's kind of that, same sentiment. He's able to get the messages that spirits are sending him and transmute that and put it into lyrics and rapping. And we also know that, he has an evil side to him. I know some rappers using big words to make my similes curve. My simplest ish be more pivotal. I penetrate the hearts of good kids and criminals. So, he's saying that this is like one of my favorite lines from Kendrick. He's saying all these other rappers, they try to use these big words and be on my level, but it's my most simplest stuff that's been able to penetrate the hearts of, people who are in the penitentiary who have maybe led a life filled with crime and the good kids who maybe haven't lived that life. They can still relate on both ends and can still heal and grow from the music. Worrisome individuals that live life critical. So won't you bear witness while I bear feet? So you can walk in my shoes and get to know me. So, he's saying, watch watch me as I put in my all to this and put yourself in my shoes so that you are able to see kind of like where I'm coming from. But anyway, this is for my pops on his lunch break eating in that parking lot. On Wanna Be Heard, probably thought he worked my nerve. Song from Kendrick's EP, and on a song he says, "My pops got a different approach, yeah. He believed me, but he always questioned when I'm gonna drop my debut CD." So he's saying, his dad probably thought that Kendrick thought that he was getting on his nerves for just like kind of maybe pushing him or asking him, when is it gonna come? Whereas Kendrick realizes that his dad is just there to like support him and wants him to like make it after all the work that he puts in, and he can see that his son is talented. But really he was stressing me getting what I deserve. Somebody said my name on the radio. He ain't know I was ready for the world that minute. So the next time he roll up and drop grams in it, he'd probably be out of work, laid back while and then it goes into the chorus. So again, Kendrick is saying the next time, my father is worried about me or stressing, like it's not going to be from not having what it takes, because I'm going to use my talent to make it to where he can kind of sit back and relax and enjoy life, enjoy the fruits of his labor. Smoke good, eat good, live good. Smoke good, eat good, live good. Into the refrain from GLC again, and I do this for my city, got my Hennessy and my real ends with me. F the police, they gonna have to come and get me. If it feel good to you, holler if you hear me. And then into the outro, GLC says, "Church is definitely on the move, and now we done took it up to the cathedral. Cause the ism is enormous, you know what I'm talking about." And here, so an ism is a distinctive practice, system, or philosophy. When I think of isms, I also think of like racism, classism, sexism, all the isms. And so I think here he's saying, all these isms are kind of big right now, and in regards to the time period of this album in the 80s specifically was ramping up due to the rhetoric of that era. And that's why it's important what our presidents say and what our running presidents say, because people take look at the president still as like a worthy position, I guess. And it's sad that now it's not really that, because clearly a felon can now. But anyways, he says we out here rotating under the 5 Ps. And when he says rotating, I'm guessing, he's talking about living life, rotating around the sun. 5 Ps are 5 points that the Gangster Disciples, which is a gang in Chicago, kind of operate under. And they are: proper preparation prevents poor performance. And so, again, when you are preparing to go into, specifically for Kendrick and probably JLC, this industry of rap and hip hop, you need to be prepared. And making sure that, in Kendrick's case, studying the music and just like spending time with it in order to have good performance and prevent poor performance. Doing my thing because I'm rotating with my speakers thumping from the windy city streets all the way out here to the streets of Compton. So, kind of to note here, Kendrick's parents are from Chicago and they moved to LA to try to escape the gang culture in Chicago, which, and get Kendrick away from it, which, didn't really turn out in that way, unfortunately. He says, from know what I'm talking about, church is definitely on the move, and we go and continue to hustle and grow and develop by far. As I rotate with my true player partner by the name of Kendrick Lamar. You know what I'm talking about? This is the ism. This is the vision. You know what I'm talking about? Gotta get up off your butt and get it, man. That's the only way your pocket's gonna expand. I tell you every day, you know what I'm talking about? Apply yourself to supply your wealth. Only limitations you'll ever have are those that you place upon yourself. Church is definitely on the move. You know what I'm talking about? Exercise your ism and don't depend on no one else. Cathedral, church, ism. So I think here, this last part, obviously speaking to the youth and just telling them, like, fast money is not always good money. You need to be figuring out what you're going to do with your life. What is your purpose? Are you going to pick up a trade? Are you going to go into a certain career? If you are going to pursue the arts or, something like that, what are you going to do when you do make it? What is your purpose in that, rather than trying to just get money as fast as you can, just to have it, just to be able to like live this glorified luxury life. And I'm saying here, like, you just have to apply yourself and you have to be taking the steps to get there. You can't expect things to just be handed to you. But also stick to your morals and be yourself. Don't try to just like fit in, and do what you can in order to, make it. That is the end of Poman's dream, his vice. I would also like to note here that, like, Kendrick, who was once a poor man, his dream and his vice was writing and, using that to make it out. So I think it's kind of interesting how it all kind of ties together. But this is one of my favorite songs on the album, and I love the beat, I love everything. And speaking of beats, the samples in this song are Peace Go With You, Brother by Gil Scott, Heron, and Brian Jackson. You Can Call Me Rover by The Main Ingredient from 1973. Go Stetsa by Stetsa Sonic from 1986, and Be Alright by Zap from 1980.
The atmosphere, if there's a time and place for everything, it's under the sun.